Steve Cortes hosts the Steve Cortes Show on AM 560 The Answer now in Chicago from 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays. He's with America First, a terrific organization. During the 2016 presidential election, he was named to the Trump campaign's Hispanic Advisory Council. He's a fascinating guy, and we wanted to reach out to him because I saw him on Laura Ingram's show the other night, and I was pretty amazed at what had been said, because I think the way I first became familiar with Steve was when I watched the PragerU video that he created debunking the what we call the Charlottesville Lie. Steve, welcome to the Mike Gallagher Show, and congratulations on your new gig on AM 560 The Answer.
Hey, Mike, thank you. I'm so happy to be part of the Salem family with you, and I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your work, too, because you've, I guess, paid a price for your PragerU video that millions and millions and millions of people saw. I really do believe if I went out on the street here, went out on the Strip in Las Vegas and started interviewing people, and I asked people, did President Trump, after the Charlottesville incident where a young woman was tragically killed and there was a horrible, horrible, wave of violence there, did President Trump get up and say, well, there were some good neo-Nazis and some bad neo-Nazis. There were some good white nationalists. There were some bad white nationalists, i.e. good people on both sides. I think most people believe he said that because the media went all in to tell that lie. It's not true. You corrected it in the PragerU video, and then I guess as you learned the hard way, your role as a CNN contributor came to an end.
There's a price to be paid sometimes for telling the truth. But that doesn't mean we have an option, in my view, Mike, and I know you agree, about telling the truth. Look, if you want to criticize the president, I'm obviously an advocate for the president, but a fervent one. But if you want to criticize him, fine. Criticize him on things that are true. Do not make up a pernicious lie. And the Charlottesville hoax, the Fine People hoax, is a pernicious lie. It's one that, unfortunately, you're exactly right, Mike. The corporate media in this country, they did a very good job of spreading this complete deception. And I think you're right. Probably most Americans still believe it. But that's one reason why I took such a strong stand, started writing about it, talking about it. Every chance I got on CNN, when they would bring up the lie, I would forcefully argue against it. But I thought that wasn't enough because it was always, 4 or 5 on 1. You know how they do these food fights on CNN. Yeah. So thankfully, Dennis Prager, another Salem guy, Dennis Prager reached out to me and said, let's make it a smart, concise video and lay out the exact evidence. We did that. It got over 6 million views. The President of the United States retweeted it. I think we I'm not going to at all claim we've won the battle, but we made a lot of progress in debunking this myth. CNN could not have it. Told me that because of that video, I was no longer on air, so I was still under contract. But what they did effectively, Mike, is they very cleverly, very diabolically took me off the field. So because of my contract, I couldn't go on other networks. I couldn't go on Laura Ingram's show and talk about this. But they also wouldn't put me on their platform. So they effectively paid me to be silent. And some people might think, oh, hey, it's not the worst thing in the world to get paid to not work, right? I mean, there is some truth to that. But the more important thing, Mike, is I want to be in the fight. And I want to spread the truth on this issue. So I'm back in the game now. I'm back on air. And I'm going to tell anyone who will listen, you might have legitimate reasons to dislike this president, but one of them is not the myth that he called neo-Nazis fine people. He never said that. He said the opposite. He said they should be condemned totally.
And that's the part I want to get to the CNN part in just a moment, but let's go back to his speech after Charlottesville, where this became such a rallying cry for people who hate the president. I mean, and right. I think it's because truth is important. Here's cut number, I believe, 14, where we have the president literally condemning neo-Nazis and white nationalists. We'll play that here in just a minute when we get it queued up. But not only did he not say there were fine people on both sides of neo-Nazism or white supremacists, he literally condemned them. But Steve,
right.
that doesn't fit the narrative. That doesn't fit what they want to advance about him. And you're right. I come down exactly the same way you do. I love debating and arguing the merits of something, but I want to have a conversation with people who come at me in good faith. There's not a good faith argument when you make up a lie and say, oh, the president said there were some good neo-Nazis and white nationalists in Charlottesville. Listen, if I thought he felt that way, if I believed that he said that, I'd hate him too.
Right. No, listen, that's a great point. And here's why I think the corporate media and the left insist on even though it's clear that this is a lie, one reason they insist on promoting this fallacy is because Trump as a racist is really all they have left. They cannot argue the Trump efficacy as president of the United States. They can't argue the record of achievement that we've seen over these last 3 years. So instead, they must default to a smear, which is he's a racist, his followers are racist, and by the way, if you happen to be a black or brown person, you should be scared of him and of them. And one reason why is because he allegedly called neo-Nazis fine people. Of course, he never did that. He, as you mentioned, he said exactly.
All right, well, here's the clip. We've got the clip queued up, Steve. Let's play it. Cut number 14.
I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists. I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it.
Now, Steve, I have the benefit of having worked for a number of years in the South, in the Deep South. You know, I worked in South Carolina, and I know some incredibly fine people of integrity, of class, of dignity, of honor, who happen to believe that it's a mistake. And incidentally, not just Southerners who feel this way, but there are people all over the country, but in particular Southerners who believe that it's a mistake to tear down Confederate statues, to tear down, to rename parks, to tear down the Robert E. Lee statue or the Confederate Memorial statue for honoring the fallen Confederate soldiers, whatever. Those are good people. But yet maybe part of the problem is the elitists in the media who hate Southerners, hate Christians, hate conservatives, maybe in their mind, if you don't think a Robert E. Lee statue should come down, maybe you're a racist and a bigot and a neo-Nazi yourself. Maybe that's part of the problem here.
I think it is. And Mike, you know, I'm going to say something that might surprise some of your listeners, probably would not please some of my supporters out there. I actually happen to think that those statues should come down, okay? I actually do. I don't think people who rebelled against the United States should be honored with statues. But regardless, there are fine people on both sides of that issue, as you're pointing out, clearly. You know, I have a point of view. A lot of people, particularly Southerners, have a very different point of view, and they are fine people. And they are not racist or retrograde for having that view.
And it's absolutely fine to have the debate. And we've had the debate. There's nothing wrong with having the conversation. I respectfully disagree with your position, but that doesn't. You're not going to call me a white nationalist or a skinhead because I feel that way. You know, I mean, this is what's so insane in the overheated rhetoric. Steve Cortes is with us. He hosts the afternoon show, AM 560, The Answer in Chicago, from 5 to 7 every weekday. Steve, let's go back to the CNN contributor thing because, listen, I know how this works. I've been a Fox News contributor for many, many years until I opted not to be. Back in 2016, I wanted to focus exclusively on radio. I wanted to stay in my lane. Frankly, I don't know why anybody would want to even appear on CNN other than you want to bring the fight right to them, and I respect you for that. But you're not entitled to be a paid contributor at CNN. I mean, it's not like you're losing any kind of a fundamental right. However, it does strike me as bizarre that they would take you off the air because of your truth-telling over Charlottesville. Can you confirm that you were told by representatives of CNN that that's why you no longer appear?
Yes, I can completely confirm that. And by the way, my counteroffer was, well, let's debate this issue on air. Let's do it in a sensible way. Let's go over the transcripts and the video. You know, let's debate the issue. Not interested in that. And look, you're exactly right, Mike. I'm not claiming, you know, that somehow my civil rights were violated here, right? Something like that. Right. Look, what I am saying, though, is if CNN or any other corporate media entity wants to promote itself and position itself as a news organization, it then has to be chiefly concerned and first concerned with truth. And in this case, they were concerned instead with media, with narrative promotion. And because I got in the way of narrative promotion, and I think particularly because I was an Hispanic who was calling them out for their constant smear that the president and his movement are racist, I became very inconvenient. And so
Steve,
because of that, I was... Yes.
But, Steve, pardon me for interrupting you, but the facts are the facts. When they presented this to you and said, we can't have you on the air anymore because of what you said about Charlottesville, and you pushed back with, but I'm telling the truth, What did they say? I mean, are they pretending that the president did say there are some fine neo-Nazis and white nationalists?
No, they did not give me a counter argument there. They just said that's the way it's going to be.
Wow.
But I think, unfortunately, this is what the left does. When the facts are inconvenient for the left, they don't debate you on it, right? Instead, they just want to silence you or ignore you, right?
No, that's it.
Continue with the lie. But,
it's
look,
chilling.
It is a lie. The president never said it. In fact, he said the opposite. We have to keep shouting the truth from the rooftops.
Listen, Steve, keep fighting the good fight. It's great to have you on the Salem team, and I know you're going to have lots of success on AM 560. The Answer, great bunch of people. We're honored to be on their team as well. Earlier in the day before you, and listen, I just admire your willingness to fight the good fight. Keep it up.
Hey, I appreciate it, Mike. Thanks so much.